How's it going, everyone? Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video, a sort of behind the scenes, see how the sausage is made sort of video. Now, if you watch the channel pretty regularly, you may have noticed that just a little while back I changed up the video intro that plays near the beginning of all my videos, including some new theme music. Now, in the past, I've generally just used the free YouTube music library, and I still do, but I'd been playing around with a new song on the guitar, and it just kind of fell into place and ended up working pretty well as new theme music for this channel. And while it might be interesting to some to see the process that went into writing and recording and composing this little bit of theme music, I do have some ulterior motives in making this video. Now, for quite a few years, a lot of YouTube creators and channels have come across occasional issues with people claiming that music featured in their videos is copyrighted and not by them. That is to say, someone composes and records an original piece of music, puts it on their own YouTube channel, and at some point down the line, a completely different channel or person files a copyright strike claim against them, saying that it's actually their music and they hold the copyright to it. And because of the nature of the YouTube system and how it's kind of automated, but also kind of not, depending on who you are, it often plays out that the actual creator of that music just kind of gets hosed. Their video might get demonetized, their channel could get a copyright strike against it, or worse. Now, yes, there's avenues through which you can get your music copyrighted, kind of the official way. Legally speaking, just the mere fact that you created it means that you hold the legal copyright to it, but that can be easily challenged. So when we're talking about a band or a composer creating and publishing music and putting it out in the world, such as a new album or something, there is an avenue through which they can get it more officially copyrighted. And I've done that with recordings in the past. But when it comes to just kind of a little piece of music for a YouTube video, it seems like a lot of effort to go through. So I figured, you know what the heck, I'm gonna make a little video that kind of shows everything that went into making this little song, in hopes that if this channel ever actually gets big enough to make it worthwhile for a copyright troll out there to kind of come after me or my little song, I'll have basically a whole video of unquestionable proof that this is an original creation by me. So I know, not really the sort of video that most of you subscribe to this channel to see, but I'm making it anyway, and maybe some of you will find it a little bit interesting. So now on to how this little song actually came about. Now, over the last couple of years, I'd been working on writing what may end up being a new album, and my songwriting process isn't especially structured or stringent. I just kind of noodle around, and if I come across something that sounds kind of good, it might end up turning into something. So I was playing around on the guitar, I don't even know, a year and a half ago, and I just sort of came up with a little riff that I liked. But after listening to it and playing with it a few times, I started to think that it just kind of sounded like a cheap Nirvana knockoff or something. So I tweaked it a little bit and messed around with the rhythm of this little riff, and it ended up sounding more bluesy, almost a little bit rockabilly, and I was really starting to like how it sounded. Now, having only really this little riff to work off of, I had to work it out and see if it could actually turn into a full song. So I added a little intro to it. I ended up figuring out kind of a neat sounding ending to it. But the whole song can't just be this little riff, so I had to come up with a couple other parts to the song. Things that might end up being like the music for a verse, or a pre-chorus, or a chorus. I even wrote a little kind of quasi-solo to go in there. Now, once I had what I considered basically the complete music, I had to try to think of how can I actually put lyrics and melody to this thing. I struggled with that for quite some time. I'd leave the project, come back to it, and I could never really figure out a way to put a melody to it. I'm not really a talented blues man by any means, and I feel like it takes kind of a certain songwriting personality to put a good melody to a song like this, so I never really did anything else with it. I figured this is just going to remain an instrumental, and maybe someday I'll figure out something to do with it. And then when I started thinking about redoing the video intro to this channel, I said, well, I already have some music that I could totally work with. So I stripped almost everything out of it, kept basically the intro, a few bars of the main riff, and then the ending. And that's the entire, 10-second theme intro to this channel as you may have seen it. So now, just for the heck of it, I'm going to kind of go through and break down how this whole composition came together. I'll recreate some of it here. I'm going to show the audio recording software on the screen there so you can sort of see how the different tracks come together. Try to go through it pretty quick because it's a pretty simple song and I haven't really produced it very much. There hasn't been a lot of editing or mixing that went into this. It's really kind of the raw tracks right in the software. Not a lot of EQ or compression or anything else. Basically, I left it kind of dirty because I sort of liked how that sounded in the context of my YouTube intro. Anyway, let's take a look at how this thing went together. Like I said, I started with the little noodly riff that goes like this. And as I played that over and over again, I thought that needs to have something behind it. And so what I ended up doing is using a clean guitar that is not especially distorted, but with a little bit of overdrive on it to give a mostly clean sound with a little bit of grime on it. So I started doing these kind of abrupt chords on the upbeats, and I really liked how that was coming together. I really liked that, but it still seemed like there was something kind of missing. And I've been a big fan of ska music most of my life, and I really liked that kind of subtle guitar string raking that you get in a lot of ska music. I can't really play quite fast enough to make that sound good, so I ended up just doing some plain raking on my strings and adding that as another layer in the software. And I really liked the way it ended up sounding. And then, like I said, I wanted to come up with some other parts, starting with just some simple chords. And they sounded a little plain, so I added a second guitar, just giving it a little life, just kind of accenting it, a little arpeggio here and there. I even put together a little solo, and it's super quick and dirty, and I haven't really worked it out and recorded a better version of it, but more or less this is that. Now, I was really liking the way all this came together, and at that time I hadn't really yet realized how impossible I would find it to try to write a melody for it. But nevertheless, I thought it sounded pretty good, so the next thing I did was come up with a bass line for the whole thing. And I am not an especially talented bass player, so I tend to keep the bass lines pretty simple. And then pretty much the only thing to do was to stick a drum beat under it. And while I do have the ability to play a drum kit, and I do have a drum kit, I do not have the setup to record a drum kit with any amount of quality, so I don't even really try. Instead, I just put together a basic drum track in some software I have that emulates a drum kit, and it works just fine for when I'm putting together a demo or something kind of quick and dirty, including what ended up being the little theme song for my channel. So really that's about it. Probably a much longer video than this needed to be. But again, I feel like the main reason I'm making this video is for posterity. And so 2, 3, 5 years from now, if anyone tried to say that, hey, that 10-second clip of music in your video is owned by somebody else and you've used it in 100 and 200 videos now, so you have to take all those down because of this copyright violation. I can prove pretty much without any doubt that this is my little song. Not that it's an amazing song, but it's mine. I'd really hate for it to cause me any problems later just because I decided to do something original on my own YouTube channel. So I guess I'll end this video by just letting the entire song as I recorded it run through. Again, it's a really rough and dirty track. It's barely been mixed. It hasn't really been edited at all. Definitely hasn't been mastered. So you're kind of just getting the real dirty first draft version of this thing. Could eventually get re-recorded at higher quality and actually produce it in a way that sounds a little better. But anyway, it is what it is. It serves the purpose that I intended it to now. If you found any part of this interesting, let me know in the comments. I've long tried to figure out how to incorporate a little more music into this channel, but mostly this channel really has nothing to do with music or songwriting, so it hasn't really ever seemed like a good fit. But if you'd like to see any kind of musical content or more of this kind of thing incorporated in, let me know and I'll try to figure out a way to get it in there. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And now I'm just gonna cue up the full song and let it play out.